I just got a 3.27 on camera, but the storage ran out. Oh. I'm gonna recreate it. On April 11, 2024, I obliterated my best Rubik's Cube solve with 3.27 on camera! Except my phone ran out of storage before I did the solve without me realizing. Before we look at the solve, let's take a look at my previous two PB singles. My first sub 4, my 3.52, and then my 3.27. Y'all should learn after this video exactly how to break your PB single. My first ever sub 4 was a 3.67. Here's the scramble. And taking a look at it, as you can see, it's very easy. I have this connected, red is connected, green is opposite from blue, and those can go in really easily like this. Now this pair is also easy to track, so after inserting red, we can insert it back right away. Now the funny thing is, this is all I planned. I only planned this X-cross, but this pair was easy to look ahead to even though I didn't plan it. So, very easy. As you can see, red-blue is ready to be solved. And finally, I have this edge to be inserted here. I pair it up, and since this is a dot, I'm gonna do inverse sledgehammer to orient some edges. And so as you can see, block, block. These colors match, orange and red are opposite. So after OLL, it's just a PLL skip. Now I did get this solve on a phone timer a long time ago. Maybe the actual solve, if it was done on StackMat, maybe would have been 3.9, but either way, it broke my previous PB at that time, which was 4.4. So that was really good for me. And that's how I did my first extremely big PB single jump. And then, on August 22, 2022, I broke my 3.67 with a 3.52, which is not a big drop from my last PB single, but it was still a good solve. I used the Tornado V3 at that time, which was my main. As you can see, the scramble is pretty mediocre. All I ever looked at was this pair. That's about it. Inserting orange, and it stays there in the back as I solve the rest. Insert red, insert blue, align, and then green. So now I have this pair. And as I was doing that pair, I saw a couple things. I saw this pair, and I saw this pair. I already had an idea of what pair I was gonna do next. I was looking ahead. Remember, I only planned this pair. So after I solved it, I went straight into this pair. Easy to pair up, so I rotated and inserted it into the back. And as I did that, this paired up, so I rotated again to insert it here. And as you can see, red-blue is easy to look ahead to, so I rotated again. That's 3 rotations. I paired it up, and sledgehammer, last layer skip. Now, I did get this solve on StackMat, which makes it really good, 3.52. Except the thing is, it had 3 rotations. So let's see how it could have been better. We start off with the same, orange, then red, then blue, align. After solving that pair and going into this pair, here I could have just done wide F moves to insert, which makes this even easier to look ahead to, like so, and there's less rotations. So then after solving that, I can go straight into this. I also thought of another idea as I was looking for a better solution. Here I don't even have to rotate. Instead I can do this really clever idea, which starts like this, F, to put the corner into this layer, and now watch, we put the edge right here, so when we take out the corner again, it pairs up before insertion, and it's just U, and it's a last layer skip. Now obviously 3.52 could have been way faster, but I'm happy with how I executed the solve, even with 3 rotations in it. Which brings us to the 3.27. Now the interesting about the 3.27 is that on that day, I was using the GAN 12. My main is actually this, the RS3M V5. However, I also like using the GAN 12 for practice. Funny enough, right after I got that solve and a few solves after, the core broke, so as you can see, orange is kind of messed up here. Well, it's not, you can't see it right now, but if I were to do a few turns like this, things start looking a little wonky. I'm glad the cube didn't break before I got the 3.27, but I digress. Looking at the scramble, I did yellow. Yellow is extremely easy, again, like my 3.67, but I kinda hesitated planning yellow for a bit. After all, I was on camera, I was a bit nervous on camera. But anyways, I figured out inserting green. Very easy prediction into inserting this edge. And so here I have a choice. I can solve blue first and then red, or I can solve red and then blue. It's important to look for things like this. Should I solve this cross edge first and then this one, or the other way around? And here I noticed that if I did RF2, this edge is left here and its corresponding corner is over here, which is not that good for an X cross, and it just makes things really yucky. So instead what I did was I inserted red and then blue, which orients the corner nicely. So I can insert it into this slot, and doing D2 gives it an X cross, just like the 3.67. That's basically all I planned. I looked ahead to this red-green pair, which was really easy. So I solved it, split, and insert into the back, and would you look at that, this pairs up. This corner stayed here the whole time, and this edge is easy to look at. And we have this. Now, as you saw in the reenactment, I did that solve in sub 3 seconds, so as you can imagine, the actual solve must have been really high TPS. And it was. 3.27 in this much number of moves was done in 11 turns per second, which makes this a really good solve for me. Not only was the solution good, but the execution was also immaculate, making my last two PB singles, the 3.67 having a good solution but somewhat low turn speed, my 3.52 having a bad solution but good turn speed, and now this is the pinnacle of my solving style, having both a good solution and good TPS. So as we saw, it's crazy to see how far I've come from just a few years back in 2022 when I got my first sub 4 solved, and I hope to get a sub 3 in the future. Thank you guys so much for watching, and be sure to implement what you've learned in your own solves. Alright, that's about it. Goodbye, Fedorans.